Welcome to the Business Shop Podcast, where our guests speak on meeting the challenges of entrepreneurship, as well as offer tips and advice on business, marketing, technology, and more. Whether you are a newbie or a seasoned professional, this episode is for you. I am your host, Audrey Wiggins. Let's chop it up. Hello, Chop Squad. It's great to be with you again. It's getting warmer where I'm at over here in the land in Cleveland, Ohio, and I'm excited to get going today with our guest. So this episode, though, is going to be kind of serious. We'll be discussing mental health, suicidal tendencies, and triumphs over depression. And if you are suffering from any of these or related issues, please dial or touch 988 for immediate help. Our guest today shares from his heart and expertise. He wants us to know we can achieve and be the person we were created to be. His name is Carlo Taormina, hailing from Richmond, Virginia. He is a life peak performance coach and keynote speaker. A little bit about Carlo. He has achieved the near impossible, as he puts it, when he describes overcoming clinical depression and suicidal ideation. Carlos has always been one to help people. He's helping others with his background in personal training, peak performance coaching, and as a keynote speaker. Now, I'll share more about Carlo after this commercial. July 27th is National Love is Kind Day. Show some love to your business. Nurture it, grow it, and watch it flourish. Register now for Elevating the You in Entrepreneur Summit. Learn more at bit.ly/elevate the letter U July 2024. bit.ly/elevate the letter U July 2024. We're back with Carlo Taormina. Now, Carlo rose from the adversity of his mental illness to share his story of overcoming lack of fulfillment, destroying limiting beliefs, and unleashing the real you in order to perform at the highest level. From sharing his story on social media, coaching clients, and speaking on larger stages, Carlo has had people approach him saying his message has changed their life. As a powerful coach and keynote speaker, Carlo's drive impacts all as he shares his message with Fortune 500s, universities, and local communities. And we're excited and grateful that he's here sharing with us today. Welcome to the Business Shop.
Thank you so much, Audrey, for having me. I'm really excited to be here, and I've been looking forward to this all morning.
Oh, great. Me too. I'm excited. Let's get started with some fun facts and achievements from you.
Yeah. So, there have been so many things I have done that I'm really proud of doing. So actually one thing that I've done, I don't know if I put this in the thing I sent you, but one fun fact about me is that I love acting. I love making movies. It's something I've been doing since I was a kid, like making these home videos with my brother or with my friend across the street. And it was just like this natural thing I had in me. It's just having fun, just making videos, So I always had that creative side of me. So that's something that's like a little fun fact about me.
Okay.
Some accomplishments I have as well is, I've done keynotes for companies like Verizon. I've done some speaking for David Meltzer. I went to Los Angeles a few weeks ago and spoke for David Meltzer at SoFi Stadium in LA, and that was a great achievement, I thought, for me. And it was awesome to give a lot of value and impact and serve people there too. So that's just a little bit about me.
Yeah, but that was awesome, though. And for those who don't know, David Meltzer, he's the co-founder of Sports One Marketing. Is that correct?
Yeah.
I want to make sure you have the right David Meltzer here. Formerly, he served as CEO of the renowned Lee Steinberg Sports and Entertainment Agency. So that was great that you had that opportunity as well. It's always exciting to hear about those types of experiences, because it just helps to, I think, ground us and to also, to push our dreams a little further.
Absolutely. It's just one step over another. That's all it is.
So let's dive right into how did you find your breakthrough to overcome depression and suicidal ideation?
Yeah, so how I overcame it, it was something that honestly, throughout that year of 2021, I honestly wasn't looking for it because I didn't think it was there. I didn't believe that I would find this breakthrough. I tried and I failed multiple times, and I was just like, you know what, I kind of quit. So it kind of happened, like, I would say through divine intervention, but it took me as the first step to get there, right? So I remember there was this one day specifically, this is in early November in 2021. And my family is like, hey, come out to lunch with us. You know, let's just go out to eat. Let's do something different. And to kind of give you guys context, like, I barely left my bedroom, barely left bed. I laid in bed every day for a year, right? So, like, leaving my cocoon, so to speak, was not something that sounded intriguing to me. So my initial response to my family was like, no, I don't want to go. Just leave me alone. I don't want to do anything. Eventually, they kind of wore me down, talked me into it. I was like, okay, fine, I'll go out to lunch. Now, this lunch was very awkward. You know, this wasn't the turning point that saved my life. You know, it was just, you know, my family surrounding me, and I felt as if I was all alone, even though I had my family members sitting next to me. And I'm just like in the booth, eating my little salad, not talking to anybody. And towards the end of the meal, my brother says to me, you should come home with me. Because I rode originally with my mom, because I lived with my parents at the time, which, you know, for a young man in his 20s, living with mom and dad with a lot of pride is probably not the best formula to kind of put him in. So I rode home with my brother towards the end of the meal. And we're driving home, you know, not really talking about anything serious. And then we parked in the driveway. And then we had this 10-minute conversation that felt like it lasted an eternity. And this conversation was, he just put the car in park and said, hey, you know, what are we going to do? How are we going to help you? Because we tried everything. You know, we mentioned therapy. You did it. It didn't work. You mentioned all these things. Like, what is it we can do to help you? Because we don't know. So let us know so that way we can help in the best way possible. And I said to my brother, there's nothing you can do. If I could find something to do, I would have done it already. So you should just give up, because I already did. And he didn't want to accept that answer. So he tells me, you know, I'm your brother, and I would do anything for you. You're my brother. Would you do anything for me? And I said, of course. I didn't know he kind of had something planned already in the back of his head, because he was like, okay, well, perfect. I got a favor I need from you. And I was like, okay, crap. Well, I kind of fell into that one. What's this favor you need from me? What do you want me to do? He looks at me, he says to me, I need you to do something different. I need you to go on a trip. Just get out of here, right? Try something new. And my initial response was, you're crazy. Why are you saying this to me? Do you know how hard it was to go out to the Cheesecake Factory with you guys and eat lunch? Now you want me to get on a plane and go somewhere? Like, this is not happening. What he said to me kind of stirred something up in me. He says, at this point, Carlo, like, what do you have to lose? And I sat with that for a bit. And honestly, I was thinking about it for a while. And this is where that time stood still feeling kind of came in. And I just kept thinking about that. Honestly, I don't have anything to lose at this point. You know, I'm already at rock bottom, so what's the worst case scenario? So the more I was pondering this question, two things happened, or I thought of, that put me on the yellow brick road, so to speak, to finding this breakthrough. And the first thing I thought of was I just kept saying in my head to myself, I know I don't want to go anywhere. Like, I don't want to die. I don't want to leave. And I just kept saying that over and over and over again. And I shifted my focus from the life I was living, you know, the guy laying in bed every single day, not feeling fulfilled, feeling like he has no purpose, feeling like a loser, essentially. And instead of thinking about that, of what I used to do all the time, I shifted my focus to the person I wanted to become. I shifted my focus to being the successful entrepreneur, being a successful coach, you know, helping people. And that's where I chose to focus on. And then the second thing that I would say really helped me was I struck a match from a matchbook. And there's this tiny flame on the end of it. And this tiny flame I thought represented the real me. The funny Carlo, the ambitious guy, the person who wants to help people. If you're cold, he would take his shirt off his back to give it to you. Even though I did not feel like that person. This little flame was essentially a reminder that the real me was down there somewhere. He's still alive. It's still flickering. It's just not very big, but it's still alive. And that match sat in my gut. And that's just where I imagined it and envisioned it. And then the more I thought about this little flame, it just grew, it grew, it grew to there was this point where I just felt like a fireball. It just consumed me. And I was like, okay, wow, okay. And I had this, in a literal sense, like this fire in me. I was like, you know what? Okay. And I looked at my brother and I said, I'll go on this trip. And then his eyes lit up. He was like, okay, wow, perfect. Well, let's break this down. Where do you want to go? I was sorry, my camera was moving there. He's like, where do you want to go? And I said, I don't know. I mean, it's November, and I'm from Virginia. So sometimes Virginia doesn't know what it wants to do. Sometimes it's hot. Sometimes it's cold. It doesn't know.
Right.
At that time, it was a little nippy. So I was like, let's not go anywhere else cold. What's the point of doing that? Let's go somewhere warm. And he says, okay, well, where do you want to go? And I said, the first thing that came to my mind, I said, I don't know, Florida. Perfect. When do you want to go? I don't know, soon? Okay. Do you want to go alone? Do you want me to come along with you? What's the deal? How do you want to handle this? And I just said to him, please come with me. I don't want to go by myself. I'll probably just lay in the hotel room every day, so you should tag along. He says, okay, don't worry about a thing. I will send you details tonight. And that was a Sunday. He sent me a text that night with plane tickets for Tuesday.
Oh, wow.
So we're at the airport. We're about to leave, and I see we're going to West Palm Beach, Florida. Now, I didn't know where West Palm Beach, Florida was. He didn't know where West Palm Beach, Florida was. We didn't know if it was on the East Coast, West Coast, North, South. We didn't know anything about it. The only reason why he picked it is because it sounded sexy. That's literally the only. That's the only reason why I picked it.
West Palm Beach. Ooh.
Honestly, that's the reaction he has. Like, okay, that sounds pretty attractive. There probably sounds like there's some cool things there. There might be a beach there. I don't know, but let's pick it.
Yeah.
And that's what he did. So we're in West Palm Beach. It's day one, and as soon as we land, I'm filled with immediate regret. I'm just saying to myself, why did I agree to this? I just want to go home. I want to lay in bed. Why am I in Florida? I don't care about the palm trees. I could care less. Day two, same thing. The most exciting thing we did up to that point was, I remember specifically, we went to a pharmacy, like a CVS. We bought a deck of cards, went to a local park, and played Go Fish on this picnic bench. That was the most high-intensity, fun, spontaneous thing we did up to that point, was play Go Fish in the park. And we're fast-forwarding a little bit during that day, and we're sitting at this patio table outside, this cafe or restaurant, and we're just talking, doing nothing really. And all of a sudden, I see him put his phone down, and he says, okay, I booked us something to do. I'm not telling you what I booked. You just have to get up and follow me. And then I got filled with anxiety. I was like, what are we going to do? Are we going in the middle of the ocean on a boat somewhere, gonna fish? Are we going to some weird nightclub? I feel really uncomfortable. I didn't know what to expect, so I was filled with a little fear and anxiety. And he said, just don't ask any questions, just shut up and just follow me. That's all you have to do. Just walk with me. And I said, okay, there's nothing else I can do, so let's just do that. So we're walking, and then all of a sudden, at this stoplight, and before we can cross the street, before we see the little green man walking sign, we're waiting, we're seeing the cars pass by, and I'm just kind of taking in my surroundings. I'm looking around, and I see this big building in front of me. And I don't think anything of it, but then I look down, and I see it's the West Palm Beach Convention Center. And then I see the sign sticking out of the ground, this electric sign, and the sign says, Tony Robbins, Unleash the Power Within. Mm. And, I've always been a big fan of Tony. My brother has. We've always been involved in personal development. But my brother didn't know Tony Robbins was going to be down there having an event. I didn't know anything. So it was like we picked. I don't think we even picked. It was just, I feel like it was divine intervention.
Yes.
Divine timing. We just happened to be in the right place, the right time. He happens to be there having an event. And my brother just bought tickets spontaneously to the seminar. Now, of course, the things I learned there were great, life-changing. But I don't think my life would have changed if I didn't get out of bed. There's a motto I say to myself that is part of my philosophy, part of my coaching, and I always emphasize this when I speak, is that your life doesn't need or require weeks, months, years to change. It literally can only take from one moment that leads to one decision that leads to one action step. And that's essentially what I did. I took one moment while I was in the car with my brother, and I agreed and I made a decision, and I took action. I got my butt on a plane. And then the universe, God, however you want to look at it, did the rest.
Yeah.
And that's where I found myself. And then from that moment where I found this breakthrough, this light bulb, I was completely shifted. I saw things from a different perspective, no longer from this victim mentality, victim mindset, but more so of, hey, this depression stuff was actually here to help me. I was supposed to experience failure. I was supposed to face my fear. Now I know what is really fulfilling instead of chasing these external things, right? Because I always had this feeling of being unfulfilled and lacking purpose. When I found this breakthrough, this light bulb, I found this purpose. It was as if I had this telepathic communication with God, with the universe, whatever. And it said, Carlo, this is what you're going to do. This is how you're going to help people. You always wanted to, you just never knew how. This is what you're going to do. And it was as clear as day. So I said to myself, you know what? That makes sense. I am here to help these people, high-achieving men, high-achieving people who know they're meant for more. They're not feeling fulfilled. They're not performing at the highest level. I want to help these people. And that's exactly what I did. I transformed the business I had at the time, which was personal training. It wasn't doing well anyway. So I switched it to more so of peak performance coaching, mindset coaching, how to help people unlock their true potential, how to find deeper fulfillment so that they can become the best version of themselves, whether it be in their business, in their personal life, their relationships. It's just all about what we think about in here and how we behave and how we think and if we believe these thoughts, right?
Yeah.
So I took that to heart and I said, you know what? This is my destiny. This is what I'm here to do. And ever since that day in 2021, I dedicated myself, my business, everything just to helping people. I've been speaking, coaching, and it's just been the most fulfilling thing ever.
Wow, that is amazing. And it seems like there's been a theme with some of my podcasts recently about mind shift and, mind, transformation and our thought processes, on a higher level. And, so, and thank you, for sharing that personal story, because we get help, we get sparks from other people's stories. And I think that was very important. And, hands off and kudos to your brother for reaching out and say, let's go. And you had just enough in you, to say yes. You probably didn't want to, but it was just like you said, that little flame and, just enough for you to get up and get in that car. Cause that is hard. So what is the first thing then someone should do in order to break free from their lack of fulfillment, limiting beliefs, self-doubt, and lack of motivation? And you told us about this through your story, but you found success on the other side. But what about the rest of us?
Yeah, so that's a real deep question, and there are so many ways to answer that, but some things that personally help me to find this fulfillment, right? Because for me, before, I was finding fulfillment or trying to find fulfillment through external things, everything that was outside of me. I told myself, oh, once I make enough money, then I'll be, this will be proof I could do anything. I'll be happy and I'll be the best. Like that was validation for me, right? Or if I look really attractive and if I get the six pack, I used to say that to myself. If I can have a successful business, that means I could do anything. That was proof to me I could do anything, and that would make me feel better. But essentially, that was just seeking validation for myself. It was the need for significance.
That was important when you said seeking self-validation.
Yeah. Because deep down, subconsciously, I always felt like I was never good enough. And I know a lot of people feel that way,
Yeah.
right? And that's why a lot of limiting beliefs come into play. And everyone has these. So when I was striving for quote unquote greatness, I was coming from a heart-centered place, but the scale wasn't balanced. Of course I wanted to help people still, but the need for success, validation to say I was good enough was higher on the scale. And that's kind of what led, or partially what led to my downfall, was every day that those results externally were not represented, it kind of took a chip in my identity. And I said, wow, maybe I'm not the successful person. Maybe I'm not the smart person. Maybe I'm not good enough, right? And this validation just kind of kept going down, down, down. It made me feel worthless. And then that's where a lot of lack of fulfillment came into play. Because I was like, well, if I can't do anything and I can't do what I love, what's the future look like? What's my purpose? What am I doing here, right? And I know a lot of people either feel that way in the pursuit of what they're trying to do, or let's say, for example, they already have the successful business, they have the money, they have the car, right? But they get to that finish line and they say to themselves, well, where do I go from here? I thought this was going to help me. I thought this was the end. And why am I not happy? Why am I not fulfilled? I'm just doing this routine every day and it's just mundane, right? So to answer the question, I think one of the first things people can do, again, there's so many things we can do, but one thing that I recall helping me was going back to my values, going back to who is Carlo? What does Carlo want? What does Carlo love? And I did this reflection, right? And it wasn't just thinking about it, but it was actually visualizing and being back in specific moments from my life where I just felt really grateful, right? Moments where I felt, I don't know, just pure love, pure grace. And I envisioned moments of me and my dog, me and my family, me helping people. And the longer I started doing this, I started visualizing and reliving these moments. Not only did it make me feel grateful, put me in a different state of mind, but the longer I made this list of everything that I just love and felt grateful for, and I expanded on it, it kind of gave me insight on what is really important to me. So in reality, I didn't need the millions of dollars. I don't need the big muscles and six pack to prove I'm good enough. And the more I started pushing everything to the side that didn't serve me and started letting everything that fulfilled me, that made me feel like the real Carlo, that made me feel happy, started flooding in. And then when I had this list, I understood that family is important to me. Service is important to me. And I just kept going down the line. I just kind of exhausted all these options. And once I got a clear picture of what it is I value, that kind of steered me in the right direction of what it is I really want. Where am I going to go? What is it I want to be doing for the rest of my life? And who am I going to become? What's the legacy I'm going to leave behind versus everything I'm chasing, if that makes sense. The cars, the money, all that stuff. So I think a big thing people can do to start is just, we tend to think so externally. And that's just how we kind of are. We think about the bills, we think about the money, we think about the business. We're just so outside of ourselves. If you really honestly ask yourself, when's the last time I had a genuine conversation to myself? And it's not just having the inner conversation with yourself, say, oh, I got to pay these bills, I have all this stress, but actually having a genuine conversation that's being kind to yourself. We don't do that, So once we become self-aware of that, of being just genuine and giving ourselves grace, and being able to talk to ourselves and internalizing everything, then I think that's a better option for us, right? A better way to live instead of just thinking so outside of us, right? Because we can't control the outside world anyway. So the only thing we can control is what's in here. So when people start to understand what they truly value and get into their heart, I think that is something that is one of the first stepping stones that leads to fulfillment. And when it comes to limiting beliefs, I used to have them all the time. I used to say, I still have them. I told myself I was the biggest loser. I'm a failure. I'll never amount to anything. I have no purpose. I go on and on and on. But one thing I understood is that these limiting beliefs were so false. They were so fake. And the reason why I believed them is because it was a story. And that's what a belief is. A belief is just a story that I put a lot of emotion into it. And since I had so much emotion invested in saying, oh, I'm a loser, I'm a failure, I'm not fulfilled, I don't have a purpose, but my brain was finding evidence to back up those claims, right? So it was showing me my past failures. It was showing me those times where I was at this job where I was not happy and doing something I hated. And it was fueling this belief that made me feel, okay, this is truth. When in reality, that wasn't truth at all. So how I overcame these limiting beliefs was I was doing the exact same process, but the opposite. I was envisioning moments where I felt successful, where I felt fulfilled, where I felt grateful, where I felt amazing. And I would envision specific moments from my life and relive them as if they were happening all over again. And then the same process was happening. My brain was kind of going in its filing cabinet and picking these moments and supplying it as proof, as evidence. And that's what really made me feel confident, successful, smart. And I mean, those are just a couple of things that helped me.
That is absolutely amazing, incredible information to help us, and I really do appreciate that, because even sometimes if we're not depressed, we like to say we all go through these, for periods of lack of fulfillment and limiting beliefs about who we are and what we have to offer. I mean, I do that, suffer that, at times myself, and it's like, we like, sometimes, like you said, we have that big flame going and we know our purpose and where we're going and what we want to do, and we're ready to take off like a blowtorch. And then it's like, well, people really, do I really have value? Well, people really buy into what I'm saying on my program or my book, or, coaching, you're a coach, and, will I be successful? Will this really help somebody? And so then we get to that point where we just fall, and it's like, we have no hope at this point. It's like, what, where do we go from there? What do you tell that person?
Yeah. I think one of the best things you could do for yourself is just ask yourself the question, why? Like, why am I doing what I'm doing? Mm-hmm. What's the end goal of what I'm doing? And when I reach this end goal, is this really fulfilling? Is this really going to fill up my heart, fill up my cup? Once you understand why you're doing something, I think not only will the how and what take care of itself, but you're in the right place. Because if you're doing something and you wake up in the morning and you're already angry, you're at this job, you're sitting in traffic, going to work or coming from work, and you're just not happy, you're always aggravated, that is, I think, your body, your spirit, your soul telling you that this is not meant for you. And once you just kind of dive in and really envision what it is you really want your life to look like, then ask yourself that question again, why? Mm-hmm. And if it's coming from a heart-centered place, then I think you know what it is exactly you want to do.
Yeah, I really appreciate that. Carlo, how can we get in touch with you? And as well, I know that on your website, we can get a discovery call with you, in contact with you.
Absolutely. So the best place and the most common place I congregate is my Instagram. Mm-hmm. That's Carlo Taormina _coach. And if there is anybody out there that wants to extend the conversation or even has just questions, I would love to help. You can just DM me, Business Chop Podcast, just so I know you came from this specific podcast. Mm-hmm. I would love to continue the conversation and give you a free coaching call.
Awesome. So today we were speaking with Carlo Taormina, and he helps high achieving individuals to find deeper fulfillment and renewed purpose through a transformed mindset. Now, Carlo, is there any nugget, last thing you want to drop on us before we go?
Ooh, yeah. I mean, there's so many I can do, Audrey. Let me pick a good one. One thing I will definitely say, this is what kept me in bed for a year. Mm-hmm. Not only the limiting beliefs I had, but what I focused on. And if I could leave everyone with just one last piece of advice or insight, is that you get the life you focus on. So if you're focusing on the stress of the bills, the job, how unfulfilled you are, that's exactly what you're going to get. And when you get what you think about, that will present the emotion that you're currently feeling. Whatever is wrong is always available, but so is what's right. So focus on what's right in your life.
Chop Squad, is that the best advice you've ever received? I know it has for me. So make sure you contact Carlo on Instagram and follow his advice.
Thank you for listening to The Business Chop. We hope that you were able to glean valuable information from our guest and that you will download and share this podcast. Your rating and review is much appreciated. To go deeper with our guests, please visit their website and social channels. To learn more about us, please visit businesschop.info or altogether.biz, where we will help you expand your brand.